So when you see people killing the ops, it's sad, but you expect it because it's going on in Chicago 24/7. But what's really sad, man, is when you see people killing their own family. And we just actually had a 17-year-old who was not named. He's still a minor who had killed his mom on the south side the other day. But this is a case in this story of a guy killing his brother. And it's very tragic, man. Blood brother. So a Chicago man has pleaded guilty to fatally shooting his own brother while on bail for a pending felony gun case 3 years ago. So he's 28. His name is Darren. He pled guilty to a reduced charge of second-degree murder in exchange for a 20-year sentence from the judge. And that's according to court records. So after cops allegedly caught him with a gun at a gas station in June of 2021, the judge sent him home on a recognizance bond. So she said, this is the judge talking to him. She said, you are not to be in possession of weapons or firearms. And she instructed him that during his first court appearance. She said, you understand? And he said, quote, I have a license to own firearms, though, ma'am. How does that work? And she said, and I'm your judge, and I'm telling you the conditions of your bond. Do you understand me? So this is something that the media in Chicago, or I should say kind of like the underground media, is frequently covering about the proceedings in the court because, Chicago obviously has a problem with crime and murder. And one thing that people are focusing on is who's let out and who's kept in jail and various things about the system and the things that the system can do to reduce this. We just abolished ShotSpotter the other day. That's a whole nother video, which I'm probably not going to make, but that's a whole nother topic. But the system, obviously is the thing that the voters have the opportunity to at least give their voice about needing for change with the individual people, that are doing the killing out in the streets. Some people get a chance to talk to them before they do it, but not many. But anyways, he said, I was just asking. So the judge said, right. She said, how that works is I'm saying you can't possess firearms. Do you understand? So prosecutor said that he returned to his home early one morning in February of 2022 after a night out at a bar. So he was with his brother, who was 26, and his brother's name was Darnell. Now, it doesn't say if they were drunk. Okay, they had just been to a bar, and I've heard many guys say they're a little bit older and wiser now that, they don't drink if they know that it's going to cause them to, do some violent stuff, because it can. I mean, we have to be realistic with ourselves and honest. Like, it can definitely cause people to do violent stuff. The way you think can be impaired, and it's not the same when you're under the influence. So it doesn't say if he was drunk, but the brothers started to argue, and then it turned physical. And at one point, the one brother, Darren, fell, and his brother punched him several times in the face before retreating to a bedroom and then closing the door. So Darren allegedly retrieved a rifle and fired a shot through the door. Then he kicked the door open and shot Darnell once in the chest, and Darnell died at the scene. So he's expected to be released from prison in September of 2034. So you may say that like a 20-year sentence is light, but there was a fight. Okay, so, it was getting ugly for both guys. Okay, and so Darnell had punched him. For people who didn't catch exactly what I was saying earlier, Darnell had punched him several times in the face, okay, before going back to the bedroom. His brother then retrieved the gun. So there's no self-defense argument here. This is kind of like an interesting legal case because there's a fine line between firing as you're being punched. If he had done that, he might still be free. I mean, that was the situation that we just saw up on Howard Street with that case that I covered with two guys that I knew personally. Very sad. But there was another case, actually, as a matter of fact. A guy had stolen a guy's phone. This guy named Christopher. This was like not too far from me. And I remember this was like probably 5-6 years ago. And then he ran off with the phone. The other guy had chased him down, punched him, gotten on top of him, and been punching him. And then the guy who he was punching pulled out a gun and shot him. So if you shoot him while he's punching, you might, and I emphasize the word might, have a self-defense argument. Okay, but even if you have a self-defense argument, man, you may sit in jail for years until that's worked out. Because if it's a murder case, I mean, if the guy dies, which he's probably going to do if you shoot him at close range, you're not going to get a bond, okay, or it's going to be an astronomically high bond. Okay, so now you're going to be sitting in there potentially for years until, you either go to trial or whatever. So, okay, maybe you might have a self-defense argument, but still, okay, if the guy's punching you, especially if, you kind of have to feel the situation out. If you're a 120-pound skinny guy and you're being punched by a guy that's like Mike Tyson, or a 350-pound guy or something like that, okay, your life is realistically in serious jeopardy. But if it's a guy who's your same size, or it's a skinny guy or something like that, and his punches are not that hard, you are the only person who can know how much you're being affected by those punches, or at least hopefully you can know. If you're drunk, you might not know. But I mean, if some guy's punching you, you're the best person to assess how dangerous those punches are based on the force. So if you're not gonna die, I mean, if you're just gonna get bruised up, I hate to say this, but it's better, even from a totally selfish perspective, to just take those licks and live to see another day outside of prison. Because if you pull out the gun and shoot him, okay, you're gonna have to prove, and then in a lot of these cases there's no witnesses. You're gonna have to prove in a court of law that that was self-defense. And okay, maybe you might have the bruises to show that he was hitting you, but sometimes this goes one way and sometimes it goes the other way. There's innocent guys that can sit in prison for that too. So, but this guy, that's not even a factor because his brother walked off. Okay, if he walked off and is in the bedroom and it's over, you come back and shoot him now, there's no self-defense argument to make there. People were kind of thinking that there might not be a self-defense argument with little Jeff. When Rob, the guy from Travis City, had shot Jeff, people were saying, well, he might not have a self-defense argument. It honestly, guys, it depends on like a lot of factors. Right now in Cook County, most of those are being given self-defenses from what I see, but not all. Not all. And like I said, you may still sit in prison for a long time. I mean, jail for a long time awaiting trial. So this is a very dicey situation, and I never recommend, especially if it's like a fair fight or a fight between brothers, or, the guy punches you and then walks off. I never recommend pulling out the strap for something like that. That's a whole different, you're taking it to a whole different level now. Okay. Because like there's even been a case where high profile people, like famous people, connected people with money, I'm not going to say any specific names, have punched people, just punched them, not shot them. And the victim died. Okay, the person died from the punch. And the guy who punched him had to deal with this, like in the system. Go there, sit in jail for however long, potentially get a long sentence. Like this can happen even if it's not a gun. But if it is a gun, I mean, they tell you like when you're, getting those concealed carry license, or when you're just, getting the FOID card or whatever, you never point that gun no matter what, safety on, safety off, loaded, unloaded, how many times you've checked the chamber, you never point that gun at anything that you do not intend to put a hole all the way through. So if you, take out that gun and shoot him and you say, well, I didn't mean to kill him, I was just trying to get him off me. I mean, convincing a jury, to let you slide for that after you've sat in jail for 4 years while this is being, while, you're preparing for trial. Man, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, man, but rest in peace to his brother. But there's no self-defense argument here. Pulling out a gun for fist fights, man, especially in the aftermath, is always a big legal no-no. Not to mention the fact that, when the liquor wore off, and if he was drunk, like I said, I don't know if he was drunk, but when the liquor wore off and the smoke cleared and, this was all over at the end of the day and the emotions, died down, is he going to be happy that he shot and killed his own brother? Like, this is your blood brother. So you guys let me know what you think, though, in the comment section, man. But this is a very tragic story, man. Your boy Chicago News. I'm out.